Day in front of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Mike Huckabee, who was nominated to be ambassador to Israel by President Trump, had his confirmation hearing interrupted by some unhinged left-wing Jewish activists. Have a look.
I want to say thank you very, very much for giving me the privilege of coming to...
Sorry about that. The committee will come back to order, and Mr. Huckabee, please proceed.
I will mark them down undecided, Senator.
Before we go on, make sure to click the link in the description of this video below to download the free ebook, which is a collection of my columns, my op-ed pieces that I've written since the beginning of this war, since October 7th. And it really gives you a sense of the entire journey that we've been through and a lot of the issues that have come up along the way. And again, it's free of charge. Go ahead and download that right now. So in that video there, you saw these left-wing Jewish protesters interrupting the Mike Huckabee confirmation hearing to be ambassador to Israel, and they were screaming, if you heard them in the video, "Jews say no." These are Jewish protesters who are opposing Mike Huckabee being appointed ambassador to Israel. Now, why are they opposing him? First of all, these protesters are not some fringe element in the Jewish community. In fact, just a few weeks ago, at the end of February, the Reform Movement's official Religious Action Center, which is their kind of political advocacy arm, issued a letter calling on senators to oppose the Mike Huckabee ambassadorship to Israel. Now, why are they opposed to it? Because, as they write in the letter, as a presidential candidate in 2008, Governor Huckabee declared that, quote, "there's really no such thing as a Palestinian," end quote. Governor Huckabee is opposed to a two-state solution. So they call out Mike Huckabee. They're calling on senators to vote against him because he does not endorse the political national aspirations of the Arabs that are known as the Palestinians, and even said there's no such thing as a Palestinian. Now, let's also bear in mind that the Reform Movement is the largest denomination of affiliated Jews in America. More than half of all Jews in America who affiliate with one of the denominations of Judaism affiliate with Reform. And here they are saying that they're opposed to Mike Huckabee's nomination because he denies Palestinian national rights to the land of Israel. You see, but the fact is that Mike Huckabee is correct. If you go back in history, there never, ever was a Palestinian nation. No one ever identified with that term. There never was any border, any area, any self-governing nation state called the Palestinians. There's never been any such people in world history. It's only after 1948, after the State of Israel was declared, that this new identity called Palestinian was created in order to undermine Jewish sovereignty in the land of Israel. Going back to 1920, when the Ottoman Empire, after World War I, was being divided up, and the entire area that was called Palestine, which included Jordan and Israel today, was originally divided, and the other side of the Jordan River, which was called Transjordan at the time, became the Palestinian Arab state, and the western side of the Jordan River was set aside to create a Jewish state. That happened 27 years later, 1947, in the UN partition plan, which the Arabs, of course, rejected and attacked the new state of Israel. But there's never been a people that identified as Palestinian, and there's no historical national entity called Palestine, and therefore there's no national rights to any particular land. There are Arabs there who have personal property rights, and the state of Israel respects those personal property rights, but there's no national rights in the land of Israel. So Mike Huckabee is actually speaking the truth. But these left-wing Jews, the Reform Movement, don't really believe in the principles of Zionism. We see that also in something else that's going on right now, which is that there's the World Zionist Congress elections happening. They happen every 5 years. They started in the late 1890s when Theodor Herzl started the Zionist movement. And every 5 years, there's this election for delegates. Jews all around the world vote in these elections for their delegates. And American Jews can vote in the World Zionist Congress elections. The Jewish Telegraphic Agency, which is the main wire service of the Jewish community in America, just ran a news story a couple days ago, which talks about how there's a lot of Jews, a lot of left-wing Reform Jews in America who are struggling with whether or not to vote in the World Zionist Congress elections this time. And the reason they're struggling is that in order to vote vote in these elections, you have to agree to the principles. You have to click a box that says you agree to something called the Jerusalem Program. Now, the Jerusalem Program is basically a statement of principles of the Zionist movement. They're very basic principles of the Zionist movement, like the unity of the Jewish people, the importance of Aliyah, which is Jewish emigration to the land of Israel, strengthening of Israel and Zionist education, and the like. And the final clause in the Jerusalem Program says that we encourage recruitment and service in the Israel Defense Forces and the security forces, and strengthening them as the protective force of the Jewish people living in the land of Israel. And in this Jewish Telegraphic Agency article, it mentions a number of prominent left-wing Jews, including one who is a former delegate in the World Zionist Congress for the Reform movement, saying that they're struggling with whether or not they can vote for this because they don't really support the Israel Defense Forces, meaning these are people who actually don't support Israel in our current war. They don't support Israeli victory. Now, let me also take you back to July. In July, the Knesset passed a resolution opposing any calls for a Palestinian state. And it was passed so overwhelmingly that not a single Jewish Knesset member voted against it. The only 9 Knesset members out of 120 who voted against it were Arab Knesset members who are anti-Israel anyway. So here, these Reform Jews who are still in favor of a Palestinian state, who still believe that the so-called Palestinians have national rights in the land of Israel, are completely out of step with pretty much the entire Jewish Israeli population. They're out of step with Zionism, and now they're struggling with whether or not they can even vote in the World Zionist Congress elections because they don't agree with some of the basic principles of the Zionist movement. What's happening here, Christians like Mike Huckabee, who really do support Israel, they support Israel based on their faith, but they also support Israel based on the truth of history and knowing that this is the only real path to peace. All of these calls for a two-state solution for a Palestinian state that we've seen over the last 50 years or so have all led only to more and more bloodshed. The only way there will really be peace is if there is Jewish sovereignty over the entire land of Israel. Israel has shown that minorities who live in the land of Israel are treated very well. They flourish very nicely. And the Arabs who would live in the land of Israel as minorities would be treated just the same. And that is the true path to peace. And that is also true Zionism, which is Jewish sovereignty over the entire historic homeland of the Jewish people. What's happening here is that left-wing Judaism, Reform Judaism in America is moving further and further away from Israel, from the Jewish nation, from the destiny of the Jewish nation in the land of Israel. They are identifying with it less and less, while at the same time, the Christian population in America, the Christian Zionist population, really sees Israel for what it is, which is the historic, ancient national homeland of the Jewish people, and they rejoice in the fact that the Jewish people have returned, and that is why they support our sovereignty. So Mike Huckabee's views on Israel and Zionism are actually in line with the Israeli people and the principles of Zionism, and these left-wing Reform Jews are increasingly not. This election, this World Zionist Congress election, is really important, and Israel 365 Action is running a slate in these elections. Make sure to go to Israel365action.com, and there's instructions there about how to vote in this election. If you are Jewish, if you identify as Jewish, between now and May 4th, you can vote in this election, and you can really play a very important role in pushing back against the left-wing influence and ensuring that the Jewish people in the entirety of the land of Israel, including Judea and Samaria, will be sovereign and peaceful and free in our land. So go ahead, Israel365action.com, vote in the elections.